In this video, I'm going to go through the 3 cornerstones of content creation that every business needs if they want to create content that actually nurtures prospects into buyers. So the reason why I'm making this video is that I see a lot of people who talk about things that are important, but they're not the cornerstones. So it's the hook, it's the animations, it's the captions. Those are important, but it's not the foundation that your marketing can be built on top of. So the first cornerstone that every business needs when it comes to content is a system. So I see a lot of people who say, oh, content creation isn't that hard. Just get out your phone and talk into it. It doesn't need to be fancy or polished, and you'll get better over time anyways. And I hate that piece of advice for 2 reasons. The first is because even creating bad content takes a lot of time. There is so many pieces that go into creating content. You got to figure out what you're going to talk about. You got to write a script or bullet points. You got to set up your gear. You got to try to do it without doing 50 takes. You need to edit it, make it look good, and chop it up and schedule it and post it. It's a lot of work. And then the second reason why I hate that piece of advice is because it's not good enough to create bad content anymore. Every single day, the bar for content is getting higher and higher and higher. You need to show that you put effort into creating a piece of content. If, as a consumer, I don't think that it was worth your time to invest to make the piece of content, why is it worth my time in return to watch it? So you have to create good content nowadays. And in order to do that, you need to create a system. It's way too much work for you to do it yourself. So you have to have a team and SOPs in place where you do the one thing that only you can do, which is talk into the camera. You share your ideas and your personality and your mindset and your encouragement and your information, all that stuff, your experience. And then you hand off that file to somebody else and everything else gets done. I actually have another video called How to Create a Content Conveyor Belt, and it shows every step of the process from chopping to writing to graphic design to animating to scheduling and posting. It shows that entire process. So I'll link that down below. You can go check that out. But the key takeaway right now is just that you have to have a system in place. It's not enough to just brute force do all of that work yourself. You need to be able to batch it and systematize it where you sit down, once a month or once a week, however you choose to do it. You talk into the camera, everything else gets done. And then you get to focus on the things that you enjoy, which is the creative part, which is sharing the message and maybe looking at the analytics and figuring out what resonated and how to double down on that. But then all of kind of the mundane things behind the camera, all the behind the camera tasks of chopping and animating, all that gets done by somebody else. So that's the first thing, is you have to have a system in place. For my personal content, and then obviously for the content for my clients, my goal is that content creation is the easiest part of their entire business, and you have to have a system in place in order to make that true. Now, the second thing that we need is a strategy. So we don't want to just post content, push it out into the ether, and then cross our fingers that something happens with that. We want to dictate how, what role that plays in our overall business. The way that I choose to do that is I post content every day, multiple times a day. And some of that content is designed to actually be an ad, or at least I think that it might in the future. So for example, I make Trojan horse videos. So I will have a clip from somebody that, like Alex Hormozy or Grant Cardone or Gary Vee or somebody like that. I watch that clip and then I react to it. I give my 2 cents to that. And if a certain number of people watch that video, I will boost that and run it as an ad. And I call it a Trojan horse because if I pop up in somebody's feed in an ad, they don't know who Garen Etcheberry is, but they know who Gary Vee is. So Gary Vee is my Trojan horse that's introducing me to his audience. And then at the end of that video, I will have a call to action that says, hey, I actually have a full-length training video that goes further in depth on this. Comment down below and I will send over that link to that training for you. And then I have ManyChat set up where it automatically sends them a link to a YouTube video. So the thought behind this is it's really easy to grab attention, especially with ads on Instagram and Facebook, but it's harder to get people to spend a lot of time with us there because they're in swipe mode, right? In the best case scenario, they're going to watch 60 seconds of one of our reels. Now on YouTube, it's harder to grab attention, but it's really easy to get people to spend 10, 20, 30 minutes with us, maybe even hours. So we put those 2 things together. We grab attention with ads on short form, push them over to long form, and then now, rather than heating them up 1 minute at a time, we're heating them up 15 minutes at a time. So if we're just posting reels, it might take us 60 days to reach 60 minutes of content consumption time. But if we use an ad to drive them over to YouTube, we could get them to watch an hour on the very first day of them discovering us. So that's the strategy that I like to use. We have other strategies too. I'm happy to talk about those as well. But the point is, you have to have that bigger context. Don't just post for the sake of posting. You have to have a bigger strategy. And the third cornerstone that you need in your content is soul. And what I mean by soul is you have to have a message that's worth listening to in the first place. And it has to be a lot deeper than just information. I have a lot of clients that they'll come to our filming sessions with ideas ahead of time. And a lot of time, it's just like this very superficial, obvious content. So, like for example, I was working with a personal trainer, and she had all these videos about like, how to count macros, some of her favorite recipes, that were low carb, essential knickknacks for the kitchen that make cooking fast and easy. And it's like, these are all things that you could just Google, or you could just ask ChatGPT and it would just spit out all these answers for you. And in the course of this filming session, she mentioned that she won Miss Olympia a number of years ago. At the time that she won, she was so self-conscious about her body that she wouldn't go to the beach because she didn't want to be seen in a bikini. And I said, well, we have to talk about that. Do a video where, the hook is, I literally had the best bikini body in the world, and I was too self-conscious to be seen in a bikini at the beach, or to go to the beach and be seen in a bikini. And she was like, well, I should really talk about that. And I was like, yes, because that grabs attention, and there's no one else in the world that can share that message. And I've seen that over and over again with my clients. They think that there's like this obvious thing. I need to teach you how to do this, the 10 reasons to do XYZ. That's commoditized information. Like I said, that can just be asked to ChatGPT. You need to share the information that nobody else can share. You need to say the things that nobody else is saying. You need to, not even that nobody else is saying, it's the opposite. Everybody else believes this, but I believe that. Everyone else is saying this, I'm saying something different. You have to stand out. You have to be unique. I can't remember who said it originally, but being different is better than being better. So you have to create different content. So those are the 3 cornerstones that you need to add to your content. If you want to learn about how to create systems for yourself, I have a video linked down below about how to create a content conveyor belt for yourself. If you want to learn more about how to create a strategy for your content, I have another video linked down below about how to create a content ecosystem, not just one-off pieces of content, but a whole web that fits together like a funnel where somebody hits that web and you suck them in and you drive them down to becoming a lead and then becoming a buyer. And if you want to learn about how to add more soul to your content, I have a video linked down below as well that goes over the 5 buckets that you need to create content around. Not just how-to information, but the 5 categories of content that people need to hear before they see you as an expert and they establish that relationship and that reciprocity where they want to do business with you. So check out those links down below. And if you'd like to learn about how we can just take all of your content creation off of your plate, create a ton more content in a tiny amount of your time, I would love to tell you more about what we do and how we could be of service. There's a link to my Instagram down below. Send me a DM. I'll tell you more about how it works. Hey there, it's Garen from the future. Between the time I filmed that video and right now, I've created a series called 30 YouTube Ideas in 30 Days. If you're a coach and you don't know what to make YouTube content about, there's a link down below. Drop your email in there. I will send you one awesome idea every day for 30 days. At the end of that, you will never have a problem ever again coming up with great YouTube content ideas. The goal, though, is not just to create more good content. The goal is to create the right content that grows our businesses. So I've also created a tool called the 24/7 YouTube Salesperson. It's all of my best frameworks and strategies along with GPTs to help you actually implement them and turn your YouTube account into a machine that creates sales every single day for you. So there's a link to that down below as well. Check that out. And if you enjoyed this YouTube video, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to love this one.